Particularly the reason why we ended up separating earlier on in our marriage, because it was too much for me.
Be yourself. Don't try to go the extra mile to satisfy your in-laws.
What's up, everyone, and welcome to Dinner Rolls and Relationship Convo. It is your girl Angie, and I am here with my lovely co-host
Big Nate.
Alright, that's what come through.
Hey.
Listen, come on now. This is what we doing out here. We getting excited, and y'all know why I'm excited, because we are getting ready to talk about dealing with difficult in-laws. And this could be a little sensitive subject for some people, especially like if you're getting along, if you had issues with your in-laws but now you're getting along with them. But I feel like it's necessary to talk about because a lot of people deal with this. Right. It just is, you know, it's just one of those things where you can kind of expect, not necessarily in your relationship, but just expect to hear about this more. It's probably more relevant than you think it's not, basically, is what I'm saying. And so I wanted to talk about this subject because we've had experiences with some difficult in-laws. Let's just be honest, let's be real about it, but that's okay. You know, because everything tends to work itself out, and I'll get to that when I give pointers on how to deal with difficult in-laws from, you know, my standpoint, from somebody, you know, that you love. But I just want to give a background story on, I personally didn't have difficult in-laws. Now, I don't know what your parents really feel about me or felt about me, but I never had trouble with them. And so it kind of broke my heart that you had to experience that on my side. And for those who don't know, we got married very young, and I was 18, literally fresh out of high school. I don't even think it was, I had been out of high school a little over a month, and you know, you were young too. And so my family was not very happy about it, specifically more my grandmother. And it caused a lot of stuff within the family, a lot of you know, people turning their backs and, you know, just not happy with the situation. And I could understand, you know, them wanting me to go to college. I can understand them wanting me to be the greatest person that I, you know, God had designed for me to be, but that wasn't my path. And as Christians, I felt like they should have been more understanding of knowing that, you know, you were a child once, you took your own path. No child ever followed everything their parents did. Right. I don't care how great you are, I don't care how good of a child you were, nobody followed everything that their parents said do. Just, you know, and you could have been a good child, but you still did that one thing that kind of, you know, I look at you, you had the utmost respect for your parents, but remember that day you told me about how you went to basketball practice when your dad told you not to? You know what I'm saying? So regardless of how much respect you have for your parent, we're children. And you know, you got to let the children and the kids make their own decisions and make their own mistakes. And so I just felt like that wasn't given to me because I was like under so much control from, or somebody was trying to control me so much, and because I wasn't doing what they wanted me to do, how they wanted me to do it, it was a problem. And I don't even think that problem was necessarily towards you, but it was taken out on you, and that's where I have an issue with. So that's pretty much the backstory on, I feel like it was a lot of, for some family members, it was like, oh, you should go to college, you should do this, that, and the third. And then for other family members, it was more of a control thing. She's not doing what I want her to do when I say do it. My experience and what I felt has, you know, taught me personally that if I have a daughter and she's going down the same road, because it's very much a possibility, because it seems to be a generational thing, you know, so it's very much a possibility that our daughter one day will get married at 18. But I don't want to change her or change her mind or anything. I just want to be a support in the process. Right. Because at the end of the day, she's going to do what she wants to do anyway. I can give her my advice and tell her all the struggles that me and your dad face and Right. But she's going to do what she's going to do. And I just want to be there to support her because I know what it feels like not to be supportive. And so dealing with the difficult in-laws, what was your feelings behind the scenes? What was going on with you? Because I just did a whole bunch of talking. Obviously, y'all see I have a lot to say about this.
For one, you know, being a preacher, my father being a preacher, and the people that raised you being in the same church as me and my father growing up. So I kind of had a relationship with them before I even knew about you.
Right.
We were introduced to each other through them.
Right.
So we have a bond that goes beyond anything else.
Right.
And that's the Lord.
Right.
And we know and we believe in our church that God has already fixed everything up. And sometimes when we get to a point in life where we don't understand something, we kind of struggle with that. Mm-hmm. And we have the things that we want, but we have to know that God's plan overrides our desires. We have desires for ourselves and we have desires for our family members. And them being the people that raised you, they had a desire for you. Being further down the line than we are, they probably saw in their many years of living what can happen when somebody doesn't go to school. The ramifications of somebody not getting a college education, and they didn't want to see that for their child. Even though they knew grandchild. Even though they knew the foundation that we had, which was God, and the foundation that we had with each other, which was love, they knew that through their years, they seen many people in this position where they said they were in love with each other, decide to jump into the marriage part before the education part, then the marriage part falls apart, and then you're left with somebody 30, 40 years old, even older, with no kids, or with many kids rather, and no education, no foundation. So they're struggling, trying to find a job, trying to find a career, all because of something that they didn't do back in the day. And I understand that. I understand what you want for your child. And I understand that there are certain things that you want for your child. And if they're not going down that path, I understand how it would be a problem. But I knew that Christ being our foundation, that things will work out in the end. We believe that all things work together for the good to them that love God and to them who are the called according to their purpose, which means God has a better plan. Some people go one way, some people go another way, but our particular path had to go the direction it went for us to be where we are now. If we didn't go this path, there would be no Love Inspiry, as I said in previous episodes. There would be no podcast. We had to take this particular journey that we were on together and go the exact way we went to learn what we needed to learn in life.
Right, but as adults, you know that. Now we know that.
Right.
Like, kids are going to do what they're going to do. So as adults, I feel like my family should have been more understanding and understanding that. I don't feel the way that they acted was right, period. Like, we could try to cut it and slice it and make it look as pretty as we wanted to look pretty. But the way they went about certain things was not right. And the reason for some of them, not all of them, because some of them were, you know, as supportive as they could be. But then I had this one person in my family that was kind of like poisoning people's minds and trying to get them on their side, that it just became overwhelming. So let's just keep it real. At one point, did you think it was just too much?
I never thought it was too much. It was never to the point where it was unbearable. Like I always tell you, that anger was always seemed like it was directed towards you. Like, they never really did anything toward me, at me. They might have said things behind my back, but it was never anything like directed specifically towards me. So I never really felt this. I just heard things, but I never felt it for myself.
So you wouldn't have no advice to give to anybody regarding difficult in-laws? Because I mean, you've experienced, come on, you've seen me go through this stuff with certain people in my family and me deciding to get married and not do what they want me to do. What would be your advice and your opinion? Because I feel like you're being way too nice about this. And not nice, but just not being real with the people about dealing with the difficult in-laws. Because you may say that nothing was directed towards you, but seeing everything that I went through with that situation, can you speak on that? And what would be your advice to people on that?
I think the main thing is just being patient. Like I said, God has a plan for everything. And if you believe that us two are the main people.
Right.
We are the main characters in the story.
Right.
If we feel the love between us and we know that we feel something that nobody else on the outside can feel what we feel towards each other, And if we know that's real and we know that's strong, then they'll begin to see that. And they'll see that there's nothing we can do to break this up.
Yeah.
And they'll start to respect what you have going on.
Right. And that was actually one of my tips for advice for dealing with, if you are a person that has parents or grandparents that doesn't like who you're with, just making sure that you hold to it, making sure that you understand that, like you just said, either they'll come around or they won't. But if you truly love somebody and they see that you truly love somebody and that this is what it is, they're going to come around eventually. They're going to, if they want to be, you know, remaining in your life, if they want to be in your life, they're going to come around eventually. But I think too, key is important that we understand that maybe their reasoning is because they haven't really gotten to know the person.
Right.
Of why they don't like the person. Now that wasn't the case with this situation, with our situation. Right. It was just more, like I said, I don't even think that their dislike was towards you, but it was more so
the whole situation.
Yeah, and just, you know, for one particular person, it just because I wasn't doing what that person wanted me to do. Right. And that's what I feel like. But, you know, getting to know a person and for your parents to like a person, that's going to take time.
Right.
You know, what you see in them, they could not see yet. And so that's where you have to allow time to just do what it does. Right.
And I know for somebody like me, that would probably take a little longer than the average person, because I'm a very reserved and quiet person. So it's probably harder to get to know me than it is I don't want to say a normal person, but anybody else.
Because people, when you're quiet, people automatically just kind of think like you're standoffish.
Right.
When that's not even really the case.
Right. And it's hard to really know what somebody's intentions are if they don't really, you know, communicate that with you. So it's hard to really form an opinion about somebody. You're basing it off of just what you see, which is the situation.
Right.
They were forming their opinion upon what they saw, being old school people. You know what I mean? These aren't your parents, these are your grandparents. They come from a generation of, I gotta knock on the door and sit down with your grandfather and say, okay, can I have your granddaughter's hand in marriage? And I didn't do all that, but this is the generation they're coming from. Yeah,
totally. And I think too, it's key to set boundaries. If distance is what you have to do to keep your marriage together, and I'm specifically talking more towards people that are married, that decide that this is who they want to build their life with. You know, for me, I had to create distance. Right. You know, I didn't talk to my peoples for years, just about, because I was not going to tolerate the disrespect, because I knew the real reasoning behind certain things. And I just felt like it's hypocritical for you to go through a similar situation and then not even you don't have to agree with what I do, but be supportive in what I do. There's a difference in agreeing with somebody and supporting them through whatever endeavor that they have. I don't have to agree with the fact that, you know, you have a co-driver, that you're getting in the car in COVID with somebody that we don't know, that I don't know what he's like outside of this, but I have to support that because this is how you provide for our family. You know what I'm saying? So I just feel like set those boundaries and keep to those boundaries. And like I said, you know, they'll start to come around and open up. But if you have to cut people off for a while, and I hate to use that term, then that's what you have to do to keep your relationship alive, keep it together.
Another bit of advice I would have for somebody going through that is to be yourself. Don't try to go the extra mile to satisfy your in-laws. Put that energy in satisfying your wife or your husband, your spouse. Then your in-laws will see that energy, and maybe they'll gain more respect for you.
You want it now. That's so true, because like I said, sometimes it's a matter of not knowing you. So if somebody sees that their kid is happy, that this person is making their kid happy, and that's really what happened with my mom. My mom wasn't the ringleader in any of this at all, by far. And I'm not just saying that because she supports this show and watches. I'm really not saying that, but she was not the ringleader in all this. She just got caught up in it from a certain individual. In all that getting caught up, she was always, to this day, you know, she just like bought him a TV maybe last year sometime, because she sees how much of a dope person he is, or you are. You know, she sees how well you support me and provide and protect me, so that makes her happy. So she's able to freely, you know, she sees now, wait a minute, I probably shouldn't have, you know, judged him based off of what somebody else is telling me, or getting pulled into that drama with what somebody else had to say about that. So,
and I blame myself, as I said earlier, for that situation, because although your grandparents and your dad might have known me my whole life, this was me just coming in contact with your mother. So me not being as social as others, basically she was forming her opinion off of what she heard. Not only did she not know me, I lived an hour and a half away from you. So the times that she did get to see me was maybe once a month, maybe.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. Like, you guys have to really take into consideration time.
Right.
You get to know somebody, you get to build and build those relationships with time. That's how it happens. And so you just have to go from there. But this is a tip that I have that I particularly failed at, and I don't want you guys to fail at that, so I'm sharing it with you, is to if you know you have a family that doesn't particularly care for your significant other, regardless if the reason is minor or major, don't talk about your partner to them. If you have a fight, box it out at home. Like, I don't care, like, box it out at home. Because what's going to end up happening is, when you get over that fight, when you're Gucci and everything is good and y'all and you all back in love with this person, they're still going to be mad. They're still going to be angry. Then it's, I told you so, and this is why you shouldn't have done this, blah 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 blah. You have to remain united in your front. You have to remain as a team. And when they see that you remain as a team and that this thing ain't going nowhere, boom, that's when you'll start seeing the switch.
And that's the thing. They have to see that this love is real.
You
know it. You're the first people to see it. But they have to see it through time. They have to, and I think that's where me and your mother's relationship was built. Through time. Her saying that I'm really in love with her daughter. That her daughter's best intentions are my goal. Once she saw that, I believe we were able to develop a strong relationship.
Sometimes I think she better than me.
I know that. I know. It's true. It's whole facts.
No, it's not whole facts. We share the womb, okay? Listen, don't get it twisted. We spent 10 months with each other. No, but seriously, I know that it can be hard. Trust me. I know that it can be hard dealing with it, and not just on your relationship, but on you as well. Like, if you're going through this, it was a lot of pressure, and that's particularly the reason why we ended up separating earlier on in our marriage, because it was too much for me. You know, coming from like a family oriented, you know, my family, we had family nights once a week. My family was close on both sides. My mom and my dad's side. I mean, my mom and my dad's side, and then my dad's, my grandma, and my grandfather's side. We were. I just had a dope family all around, and to come from that into, you guys aren't speaking to me because I'm not doing what you want me to do, that was very, very hurtful. And this is why, particularly the reason why, if you don't have a good support system, why I don't encourage young marriage, because you are not strong enough at that age to withstand all of that. And God really took me out of, you know, separated us and made me go into the military, because I had to be isolated from everybody. You know, I literally went from under the control of a house into trying to be a wife. I never really had time to experience and to embrace my individuality, and so I needed that space in the military to come back stronger. And what happened? I came back, we got back together, and moved to Georgia. And it's been, the rest is history. And here we are. Now, of course, we had some struggles with that, but you know, that's a topic for another day. That before I get into that, I don't want to get off topic, but we did have some struggles with that. But you know, everything is always going to work out for your good in the end if you love God, you know, and if you got to trust His will.
Right.
You know, that everything is not going to happen necessarily how you want it to happen, but it'll work itself out.
So presenting that same question that you asked me from a different standpoint, from the standpoint of the person, you know what I mean, that has the parents. Does it become to the point where you want to give up?
Well, yeah, honestly, yes,
Right.
because like I just said, like I just can't, and I hate to say it like that, but when you are that young, because you got to remember, I was just a baby. I was 18 years old when all this stuff was popping off.
Right.
And it's not that I didn't believe in our love.
Right.
And that's why I was suffering a lot, because when we were separated, you know, I was like doing any and everything to try to take my mind off of you, because I was trying to satisfy the people that I grew up with, but I was not making Angie happy. And I was literally just making myself miserable.
Right.
That's why I needed that isolation. I needed to be isolated away from even you, everybody, because I needed to focus on myself and what I truly, truly wanted, and just to be able to stand firm in that. But it does make you kind of want to give up if you don't have support. That's what I'm saying. Like, if even parents that's listening to this, support your kid.
Right.
Because let me tell you.
Right.
Just even thinking about it just takes me back to a space that I just was not even very happy at all.
Right.
Because when you're trying to fight for what you want, and obviously it was meant to be
Right.
with us, and then you're trying to satisfy your family, that's why I say you got to set boundaries. You got to set boundaries. It is a difficult task. It's a difficult task. And you do kind of feel like, gosh, like, what do I do? What do I do?
Right.
You know, but giving up on a relationship that you know that you're meant to be with this person is not the answer.
Right.
Because I'm telling you, I know from experience, you're only going to make yourself miserable.
Right. And I know with age comes wisdom.
Yeah.
But there are certain lessons as a parent, even though you may know better. I always say that I feel like there are certain lessons that you have to let your child learn.
Absolutely.
And when it comes to relationships, I feel as if that's one of them lessons that they have to learn for themselves.
Yes.
They have to take the bumps and the bruises so they can get to the point where they really, really see what they want in a relationship. You don't want to interfere with that, because you don't know what goes on behind closed doors.
Right.
If it's not good for them, she or he will come to see that after a while.
Right. Right. Absolutely. I totally wholeheartedly agree with that. You know, it's something that people do go through, and I felt like it was an important topic to talk about, because I know firsthand experience. Like I told somebody the other day, I rarely talk about things that I haven't experienced unless I'm telling you how to prevent it. But this is something that is difficult to go through. When you're fighting for love and you're fighting for your family that you're so used to having by your side through everything, it can be very difficult. And so, any final last words, any advice that you have for people that may be dealing with that, how to encourage your significant other through that?
Once again, don't let it break you. Once again, be patient. Let the three chords in your relationship be you, your spouse, and the Lord.
Yeah.
Don't let anybody interfere with that. What God put together, that no man, that includes one man, to also put asunder. That means what God puts together, God can take care of.
Right.
And whatever you're lacking in your relationship, look to the hills from whence cometh all your help. Ask the Lord. Before you worry about the grass being green on the other side, ask the Lord to send a shower down on your garden and bless you. Don't let people get up in your ear and try to tell you that you need to be doing this and you need to be doing that. Seek guidance in God's word.
Right. Listen, that's the whole word to end. Y'all know I love to end the show with quotes. But before we do that, make sure you sign up for February's masterclass. It's complimentary. It's about how to deal with ego. You could do that on www.loveinspiry.com/our-event. Register for the event. Like I said, it's complimentary, but if you don't come to the live, it will be a paid masterclass should you choose to want to learn about ego in your relationship. And so follow us on Facebook and Instagram at Love Inspiry. We are available for one-on-one services as well. I'm going to end the show with: no one should come between you and your spouse. They should come alongside of you, but not between you. Ashley McWilling. I don't know. But if you're watching on YouTube, I will put this quote in her name in here because I didn't say it, she said it. And make sure you drop your thoughts and comments below if you've experienced this. Let us know your story. We want to hear from you. And if you're listening on the podcast, we will post a clip to our social media. So stop by and chat with us. We would love to hear from you. Guys, remember, Dinner Rules and Relationship Convo podcast will be every other Friday now. So we'll see you in 2 weeks.
Be safe. I just want to get that stream.
What you mean you can't wear your glasses?
It's not gonna be a glare.
It's a glare on my video, but I don't even care. Are you ready to get high?
Are you recording this?
Come on now.
Winging it, Jerry.
You ready, honey? No, you need to move over some. Why you got white neck? Move over that way.
White neck.
Why you all up on me? Scoot over.
I can't move further.
Put your chair on the bench. Just to be close to you, Nate.
Come on, man.
Just for a moment. Wow.
Come on, man.
What? You ain't never moved.
I can't. I told you.
Oh, shit. Put your chair like this.
Why you